What if we could hear the sun? This question might sound like it came from someone staring into the sky for too long without sunscreen, but it's actually a pretty fascinating one. What would happen if, all of a sudden, we could hear the sun? Let's be clear about one thing. The sun is making noise. Constantly. Loudly. But there's a small technical issue. Space is a vacuum, and sound doesn't travel through vacuums. So right now, we're blissfully spared from what's basically a never-ending thermonuclear explosion. But let's break the rules. Let's imagine you wake up tomorrow morning, birds chirping, your phone buzzing, and the sun screaming. Because in this world, somehow, sound travels through space. Or maybe your ears just suddenly become really good at picking up solar rumbles. So what would that sound like? Well, scientists have actually studied the sun's oscillations. It rings like a bell. Not a nice dinner bell, though. More like a 27 million degree, hydrogen-fusing death gong. If you could hear it directly, it wouldn't be a gentle hum. It would be a low, booming roar, constantly blasting through the sky like the deepest thunder you've ever imagined, stretched out forever. But don't worry, it's not just a loud sound. It's an incomprehensibly loud sound. Estimates suggest the sun's acoustic output would clock in at around 100 to 120 decibels from 90 million miles away. For comparison, that's roughly the volume of a jackhammer while you're trying to sleep forever. But if we could hear the sun this loudly from that far away, what would happen on Earth? First, say goodbye to silence. Forever. Even in the middle of the night, the sun's roar would be faintly echoing through the atmosphere, reflected from the moon, scattered through clouds, bouncing off mountains. You could try to escape it by digging deep underground. But unless your bunker is soundproof with the budget of a Hollywood action movie, good luck. You know how people in cities eventually get used to the noise? That might happen. Or maybe we'd all just go insane. School teachers would lose their voices trying to compete with the midday sun noise. Zoom calls would be a nightmare. Outdoor concerts? Forget it. Unless you're playing metal. Then it just adds ambience. And what about animals? Birds, bats, whales. Every animal that depends on sound for navigation, mating, or hunting would be completely thrown off. Dogs would probably bark at the sky for the rest of time. Dolphins might file a formal complaint with the UN. But here's where things get really weird. Remember, sound carries energy. A sound this powerful, always present, could start to heat the atmosphere in new ways. Constant vibration of air molecules on this scale could slightly shift global temperatures, alter weather patterns, and possibly even push wind currents around. Imagine sun-powered hurricanes with their own soundtrack. And sleep? Not happening. Humanity would immediately invent the greatest noise-canceling technology of all time. Headphones would be legally required. Hotels would advertise sunproof rooms. People would move into underground echo-free chambers just to get a nap. On the bright side, pun intended, we'd finally have a way to predict solar flares and sunspot activity in real time by listening. Hey, did you hear that pitch shift in the sun this morning? Yeah, I think we're about to lose internet for the next 6 hours. Now let's assume this new sound of the sun is something we just live with. What would culture look like? Artists would sample solar rumbles into music. TikTok would be filled with sun hum ASMR. Some weird guy would start a band called the Photosphere. And somewhere, some startup would sell bottled solar sound therapy for $49.99 a session. But there would also be protests. Silence Rights Now would trend worldwide. Entire religions would be built around the sun's voice. Someone would claim it's singing to them personally. And some poor guy on a podcast would claim to have decoded it and insist the sun is trying to tell us to stop using plastic straws. And eventually, we'd have to ask the big question. Can we turn it off? Could we install some sort of massive cosmic silencer in space? A giant foam panel the size of Jupiter? Probably not. But it wouldn't stop us from trying. We'd spend billions designing an enormous pair of celestial earmuffs, only to realize they wouldn't work. Because science. In the end, though, we might just learn to love the noise. Maybe it would become comforting, a reminder that 93 million miles away, a giant star is working overtime to keep our planet alive. And yeah, it's a little loud, but so is life. So next time you step outside on a sunny day, Close your eyes and imagine the sound of a billion hydrogen bombs going off at once, just for you. And be thankful you can actually hear it. But if one day you could, well, now you're ready. If you like this wild journey into the noisy side of space, hit that like button, subscribe for more science-fueled what-ifs, and don't forget to turn on notifications, because next time, we might explore what would happen if gravity took a vacation.